Director. I'm joined by Christopher Nicholson. He's the founder of independent equity research house Oraca. Christopher, nice to see you. So ASML, what did you think of those results?
Good morning, Lindsay, and thanks for inviting us. Well, they're strong, they're positive, they're what the market was hoping, plus some. So it's good going forward. And I think it takes some of the pressure off 2Q and 3Q.
Now, the big number, they beat on sales, they beat on earnings, on profit, is orders going forward, because that tells us how demand's going to hold up in Q2 and Q3. Those came in above estimates. They
did, well above estimates, very comfortably above estimates, somewhere in the region of 300 and 350 million above estimates. So we're extremely pleased about that from their perspective. And what that tells us, or what it indicates, is that 2Q and 3Q should go well, that problems in Japan are not affecting ASML, so in terms of their supply chain, they've either found alternatives, or many of the items that they were sourcing from Japan have not been critical to the production.
And you had said at the time that investors had overreacted a bit to the potential supply disruption problem that could have arisen from Japan.
Yes.
They seem to have coped with it.
That's absolutely correct. And what we had said was the market is reacting rationally because there was no information. But the issue was that most large companies, we would have been extremely surprised and aggressively negative for any company that didn't have the right risk policy in place, both geographically and per supplier.
It's interesting, this company. I was talking to my producer, Dan, about this highly sophisticated equipment that they make. And we're talking about the equipment that they sell to the chip makers to make their chips. It's really expensive stuff. So it's important, really, this as a gauge of demand from companies.
Absolutely.
The global economy, in essence.
Yes, it is. And for Western economies, developed economies, where the tech cycle is so important as a forward indicator for what the rest of the economy is going to do, this should inject a little bit of positive feeling, and probably will take some of the geopolitical issues off the agenda for today as people focus on this particular set of results.
So I wonder if the rest of the companies we're going to hear from are going to give us some more cause for optimism. Smartphones is a big, important thing when we talk about tech results. We've got Nokia coming out. That company braced for job cuts as they joined together with Microsoft. What are you predicting in that space?
We're not expecting Nokia to perform well at this point. Yes, it may perform a little bit better than it's guided the market, but for us, that's not a strong enough indicator. We believe that Nokia needs reform root and branch. We believe the CEO has an enormous task, and that his first port of call was his former employer in order to try and bail Nokia out. We were very disappointed about how that announcement was handled. We think it was essentially blown, the Microsoft announcement. In terms of timing, it could have been handled a lot better. So he has a great deal to deal with, both internally in terms of communications. We think it's right into the culture of marketing, and it may even be into the culture of innovation. Although Nokia Networks itself, the joint venture with Sony, that actually still produces good products, but there's no definitive guidance as to where that company is going, and that's coming across, we think, in the vendor market.
So you're negative on Nokia. Who are you positive on in the smartphone space? Is it all about Apple? Is there room for RIM to do better?
No, we're positive. We think HTC is coming up with some extremely good products. Apple obviously has proved itself again to be an excellent brander, positioning. The tech in Apple is exactly what people want. It is perhaps not a power user's interface, but the fact of the matter is all phones should have been touchscreen in that way before Apple brought them in. There was really no excuse. And what Apple did was said, you know, if you need to read the instructions, there's something wrong with the design. And they got that spot on.
It sure did. All right. Thanks very much, Christopher Nicholson.